This is episode 484 on the 18th of February, on the 18th of February 2022, on this beautiful Friday morning. So, what do organizations like WWE, AEW, Indian T20 League, Indian Football League, NFL, NBA, MLB have in common? Well, what do they have in common? Everyone knows about, or everyone knows. If you say WWE, you know it's professional wrestling, AEW professional wrestling, Indian T20 competition, cricket, Indian Football League, football, NFL, American football, NBA, basketball, MLB, Major League Baseball. So if you use these terms, these organizations have been there long enough for every individual who doesn't even know about sports to know about such organization. So the question is, what do these organizations have in common? And it's a very interesting answer. So here comes the money. They are rich sporting private and public organizations and sporting competitions. So what happens? The recruiters recruit local and foreign talent. It's a simple thing. Opportunity meets talent and talent meets heavy paycheck. And in return, they expect loyalty. Though for me, loyalty is debatable because it doesn't matter whether you are earning in the world of sports as an administrator, as a sports person, or outside as a coach. For you, it's all about the paycheck. Yes, you try and develop a relationship with the organization and allied individuals, but it's all about the paycheck. The paycheck attracts us like moth to a flame, like honey to a bee. It's all always been about the paycheck. That's what we wake at. That's what we do when we wake up in the morning, get ready, and start our work, whether as a professional athlete or in any other profession. Yes, we want to do it because we want to contribute, but we all want something in return, either in cash or in kind. In professional sports, you get in cash when you win the match and you receive a trophy, but along with the trophy, you receive a check. And that's the big thing. It's all about paychecks. Yes, you get an opportunity. If you're good enough, opportunity will meet your talent and talent will meet the paycheck. But loyalty, I think the idea of loyalty is debatable. It depends from person to person, but it's always been and will always be debatable as long as paychecks continue to be on an individual's mind. Take the example of the Indian T20 National T20 Cup. The mega tamasha was so much in focus. Which player was recruited for what price? And the thing was, higher the price, higher the value. And if you were not recruited or if you're not drafted in a team, you're not good enough. You've lost faith as far as your employer or your team is concerned. And that is just that thing. You're not recruited, you're not good enough. If you are, can you return by performing in that manner? And the moment you come to know that this is the amount you have been given as a paycheck. So there is a lot of expectation from both sides. Pressure from the individual or the organization who gives it, and pressure on the individual who receives it. Because then, if the individual doesn't perform as per the paycheck, then you will say, why did we give him or her this much? Because he did not perform. So both will get the big backs because there are a lot of people involved, and those who also gamble as to this player will receive this much money also have that same gambling thought. And then comes a very interesting question. Unknown athletes become legends. The recruiters or the talent spotters, whatever may be the nomenclature, they scout the country, they scout other parts of the world, they go to small competitions, and then they look at a person and say, yes, he or she can become a big person, because even the person who is going forward and doing all the talent work, running around, noting down in their diary that he or she is going to be a potential star or a legend, they also do it for the paycheck. They know, if I get the right person and that person becomes popular and more people come to watch, the organization I'm recruited by will get the reward in terms of commercials and sponsors and whatnot. So unknown athletes have gone on to become legends. Who was Messi? A nobody. Who was Usain Bolt? In a small village. Most of these athletes, if you look at their backstory, they come from small towns, small villages where they have to grind to do the basic stuff. And when they do that from an early age, when they have to run around to acquire the basic things for their family, that's the story for most athletes, that in their childhood, in their adulthood, in their adolescence, they have to become earners, earning. They become a part of the earners. They have to leave school, or they have to sacrifice a few school days to earn for the family, and they have to run around. And when they do that, they become mentally and physically tough, and then they're unknown. But somehow they get the opportunity because the organization says, okay, I will take a punt on you, that you may go on to become a legend. What defines a legend? That is, it's all about time. You spend 25 years in sports, you will become a legend. No one on day one becomes a legend. You have to spend time, you have to go through the troughs and creases. Every time it will not be smooth sailing, it will be up and it will be down. And that's the most important thing. And therefore, the unknown athletes who become legends, there is respect for them because they have come through a lot of things to become. So they become inspiring for more athletes to come through. And this is for every sport. You look at the background, and they all have come from small towns. So what is small town and a big town? Is it based on the population? Is it based on square yards? That's a question that no one knows the answer to, but majority of them will be unknown, and in a year's time, if they spend enough time, if they work hard enough, they will become legends. 20, 25 years you spend, you will be a legend, and that's the big thing. But for now, let's focus on the Indian T20 domestic competition. So everyone knows this tournament is a 9-week tournament which happens in the month between April and June, or depending on whatever time the organization wants to spend on this. So there are short-term goals. It's not an all-year-round tournament, so there are no long-term plans. It's a short-term goal. Though the organization, the team say we have long-term goals as far as this organization is concerned. But let me tell you, it's a short-term goal. There's nothing much to talk about. And then, what are athletes attracted by? No one cares about loyalty. Loyalty is subjective. Loyalty is an oxymoron. There is no thing such as loyalty. If you are getting a paycheck, who cares about loyalty? Because loyalty is overrated. We can say that, yes, I'm loyal to the organization. I'm going to spend 20, 25 years. Well, sometimes you spend 25 years in an organization because you think that if you leave it, you will have to do things all over again. You have to go through the entire charade of interviews and all that to get into a new organization, and then you have to adjust yourself to the new climate. Well, yes, that's how it is. When you are in an organization where you have spent 25 years, where you have spent enough time adjusting to the climate and to the efforts, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You whether you work 9 to 5, whether you are a sports athlete, loyalty is overrated. It's all about the paycheck. Sometimes loyalty can be feigned. Loyalty is the easiest thing that can be feigned. But in this particular tournament and other tournaments such as NBA, NFL, MLB, all the football tournaments, the pro kabaddi tournament, the volleyball tournament, paycheck is what the attraction is. And then it doesn't matter which team they play for, whether you play for the Golden State Warriors or you play for the Gujarat Super Kings or the new teams in Lucknow Indians or Mumbai Giants. It doesn't matter because you could be wearing a jersey of one team today and a jersey of another team tomorrow. Wherever you go, you sniff out, okay, this team may give me more opportunities, so I will negotiate with the managers of this team to take the opportunity. And that's what the entire mega tamasha was. It was a simple deal. I am giving you an opportunity. You have to do well so that if you do well, sponsors will come, commercials will come, the organization receives a paycheck, they give back in terms of cash and kind, depending on the nature of where you are. If you are in a sport where the captain of the team is an important factor, then you become the captain. But in most sports, captain is not an important position, it's just another position. In some sports, like cricket, it's all about the captain. It's all about having a deal. And then it's an unfortunate thing, but an accepted thing. The value of the player depends on the paycheck received. So higher the paycheck, higher the stock of the player. And then the player has to respond by performing and doing well and doing whatever is expected of them. If they don't, then next time the penny drops. There will be a time when you will say that this was the straw that broke the camel's back. So many players were not recruited because they did not perform despite being given chances. And after a while, the managers felt, or whoever is involved in the decision making, we have to let this player go. As I said, it's a simple case of hire and fire. Don't perform, you are out. Perform well, the stock rises. But even if a player does well, but the thought process is that this player will not have that kind of impact going forward because of age factors, injury factors, and a lot of other analytics that happen nowadays. Then what does the organization do? They recruit the player, but they lower the check, and then they lower the stock, and these players get into the forgotten zone. It's a very simple thing. It's not that complicated. It's not just for the Indian T20 domestic World Cup. It's tournament where organizations have to spend a fortune on how things go. Will they pay back by performing well? We don't know in this tournament. But this mega tamasha happens every 2-3 years, and players go from one team to the other. And if you're allowed to recruit only 3 or 4 players, or as the term goes, retain only 3 or 4 players, you do that. That's the way things work. And you have to accept it. But there are times when you say that, okay, you have been given an opportunity, things can get tricky in such situation, but let me tell you, These tournaments are very short. Some can go on for 4 months, but still it's a short-term goal. And for me, who plays for which team doesn't matter because they may go to another team if that particular team doesn't give them the opportunity. And it's a very simple equation. You get the opportunity to take full advantage of it wherever it is. It doesn't matter if you play for LA Lakers or Golden State Warriors or New York Yankees or New York something else or whatever the team may be, or Paris Saint Germain or Manchester United, Manchester City. I don't think it makes a difference. Because if you're a good player, you will do well any other place. Is it about having a relationship with the coach? Maybe that does make a difference to the player, but that's an outside thing. We presume that player coach relationship might just be important enough, but that depends on a lot of situations. So it's a simple thing. You have talent, you will get an opportunity, and this opportunity will get you a decent enough paycheck, which means paycheck triumphs loyalty. And it's like a summer internship, killing two birds with one stone. Money and fame, which comes first? Does fame come along with money, or does money turn you into someone famous? As I said, unknown individuals become legends. Legends can become unknown if they don't perform. So it can be the other way around. It can be an irreversible reaction. But the crux of the matter is you kill two birds with one stone. You get the money, you get the fame, you get the fame, you get the money. Value of the player is on the paycheck received. Higher the check, higher the stock, lower the check, lower the stock, and in the forgotten zone. But what won't be forgotten is how India managed to chase a total of 160 in that India West Indies T20 Cup game 1. West Indies made a decent total of 157, so they could have made more. That was the analysis. If a few players had been a little more judicious in their shot selection and other things, but that is just, well, in a 20-over match, if you hit a six, the same ball can go for a six, the same ball can go into the fielder's hand. It's a matter of luck. India chased down 160, and it was left to the likes of younger individuals like Surya Kumar Yadav and his teammate in Venkatesh Iyer, who has spent some time playing the domestic competitions, and of course, which position should he bat or who should bat where. Everyone says Rahul will open with Rohit, Kohli at number 3. The Kohli hasn't performed up to the expected levels and his stock is going down. Means will the paycheck go down? Maybe in the coming years, the paycheck will also be affected in a number of ways. Commercials and sponsorships and retainerships and whatever that means. But that's not my concern. The chase 160. And then, of course, it's West Indies. It's not Bangladesh or New Zealand. West Indies will come all guns blazing, swinging for the fences, and then, of course, don't be surprised if tonight they win the toss and they tell and they want to chase. Because that's how things work. Yes, that's how things work. Win the toss, stick the other team to 160, and then chase down 160, and then got a couple of good hitters. Nicholas Puran doing the job, and a couple of other team members. It's a very simple theory. You never know. West Indies may win the toss and they could bowl first, which will not be a surprise. And then India could go on to make 215, and then chasing 215 will be a challenge. It can work either way, or they will win the toss. India will be bowled out for 130, 140, and they will chase down 130, 140 in 15 overs. Anything goes in this particular situation. And that's the interesting part, because not everyone will get an opportunity you can only take 20 players, 20, 21 players for the World Cup. Who are going to be the lucky 21? Of course, it's a choice in terms of openers. You have three decent openers, couple of keepers. I don't know who will get a chance. I'm not going to get into the spirit of competition because I don't really think things like spirit of competition really matters. That's not my thought process. Whoever gets a chance, good enough. One doesn't know what the selectors have in their mind because the selection committee, the recruitment committee, the drafting committee can have weird ideas that we should go with more fast bowlers and spinners because it's Australia, the ball will bounce and turn, will bounce more. We can go with a couple of all rounders. And then the captain will say what the captain will say, but eventually it will be the selectors and in a closed door meeting or a closed video conference call because that's the easier thing to do and that's a lazy thing to do. Who should play, who should not play. It's a gamble. It's a gamble. No one knows who are going to be 21 players, who will go. Someone will always miss out. Someone will always say, oh, I missed out. Did I perform well? Was I injured? Did I not impress the selectors enough, the coach and the captain enough? I had no idea. If India wins tonight, you can expect one, even a 1 hour result would be like, okay, it's a 1 hour result. You expected someone like West Indies to make it 1 all. So as I said, you could either see India make 200 if West Indies asks them to bat first, or West Indies limits India to 150, 160, and West Indies chases on that 160. And then toss, as I said, is a matter of luck. There is no skill involved. You spin the coin, wherever it falls, it falls. Or India could win the toss and try and bat like crazy. Anything is possible in this situation. Let's see what happens, which I shall discuss in the days to come. But moving on to something even more interesting, the India New Zealand ODI Cup Game 3. So New Zealand are chasing 280 after India did well to get 280. Of course, our openers got 200 in 13 overs, and then there was a collapse, and then there was another partnership as it happens in this sport. So New Zealand's numbers 8 and 9 are just hitting boundaries for fun, and they are 214 for 6, and their numbers 7 and 8 are just enjoying themselves hitting boundaries for fun, not even proper shots. And the Indian team seems to be lacking that control to restrict the team. And at this level, New Zealand will win the match 3-0 at 6 for 214 with 66 runs required in around 63 balls, which is 1 run per ball. And well, New Zealand have got a much more pedigree team, and it will surely happen. So this ends episode number 484 on the 18th of February 2022. Stay tuned for the next episode. And I will be back with episode number 485 on the 21st of February 2022. So while you wait for the next episode, what should you do? What should you do? You should put these books in your must read books column. You should put these books in your must read books column.